We got an echo there. I'm going to mute you, Eric. So I'll just kind of introduce you, Jeff, ask you to kind of cram your decades of experience into about 30 seconds. And, okay.
Okay.
Give us the highlight reel, and then we'll take it away, and you can talk to us about leadership today.
Awesome. Will do.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with Eric. Let me see here. Gotta admit these people. How's the weather in Arizona?
Hot.
Yeah. Well, we're in triple digits up here in Sacramento. Can you beat that? Of course.
Yeah, 115, but that's pretty hot to be in Sacramento.
But it's a dry heat, right, down there?
Yeah. Right.
All right. Sorry about that, guys.
Yep.
So I'm ready to go. You want to go ahead and let everybody in?
Yep, go ahead.
Alrighty. We're going, and I'll go live right after I allow people in.
Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome in. Welcome to another Freedom Friday.
Good morning.
Good morning, Matthew Stewart. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Blessed to be here, and I'm super stoked about Mr. Sutherland.
Yes, sir. It's going to be good. Good morning, Sierra. How are you doing?
I'm really good. How are you doing, Seth?
Good. Doing good.
Good. Super, super excited.
Good morning. Monica, Julie, good morning. All right. Well, we are live on Facebook now, and without further delay, let me introduce our guest today, Jeff. I asked him to cram his decades of experience. He's going to be talking to us about leadership today. I asked him, please introduce yourself in 30 seconds, cram your decades of experience into a 30-second highlight reel. So with that being said, Jeff, take it away. Who are you? What are you about? And what can we know about you?
Well, good morning, everybody. I hope it's having a blessed day for you today. This is exciting for me to be here. Jeff Sutherland, I've been in the business 22 years. I look probably older than that. I've lost a lot of hair, but I still love this business. I was a team leader with Keller Williams. I have produced throughout my career. I was a vice president at KB Home. I'm a bivocational pastor. I've been here at EXP for 4 years. I love it. I also own my own company in Chandler, Arizona called United Brokers Group, and grew that to about 250 agents, and sold that in 2015. So real estate's been my gig for the last 22 years, and I absolutely love it. So that's 30 seconds, Seth.
Perfect. Thank
yes,
you.
sir.
I appreciate that. You crammed a lot in there. That's easy to do when you've got so much to draw from. But hey, appreciate you being here, Jeff. And today you're going to talk to us about something that we all interact with on a regular basis. It's leadership. Some of us fumble into good habits on leadership, and some of us pick up good habits from others. But I'm going to turn it over to you and kind of outline where you want to go with talking to us about leadership and how to be a good leader and how to be a good follower too.
Yeah, you got it. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay, Seth. I'm going to show you guys some
Perfect.
slides, but I'm not going to talk to the slides. I'm going to jump around and just kind of give you guys what I believe what leadership is all about. First of all, I want to share with you that at some point in your life, I think somebody needs to reach down and help you. Somebody needs to help you. And I had that moment. I had a great business in Chandler, Arizona, grew it to like 250 agents. And you know, I'm sure some of you have had experiences where it just didn't end right. I had a business with a business partner. It just didn't end right. And so I was at the top of my career. And unfortunately, things did not exactly work out the way I thought they were going to. So I kind of went into a depression, kind of left the industry for a few years, to be honest with you. And then I came back in 2018, the day after Curtis Johnson joined. And Curtis Johnson used to work for me. Way back in the day when I was a team leader with Keller Williams. So I joined after Curtis the day after because I was excited because I knew what Curtis would create. I still had a job for the first year I worked with Curtis here at EXP. I wasn't really doing much. And then I started to get some momentum going. I started to really get things going. I was starting to really embrace things, starting to build things. And then 2 years ago, I had a really hard hit. My dad died of COVID. I know many of you guys have lost loved ones of COVID. My dad died very suddenly. I wasn't able to go see him in the hospital. I can talk about this now without crying, but that was just 2 years ago, a couple days ago. And so that wrecked me for about 6 months, to be honest with you. And I'll always remember people like Curtis who didn't give up on me. And I hope that today you might be thinking about somebody in your organization or maybe in your family, and they desperately need your help. And it's important not to give up on people. So he kept giving me encouragement. He kept on saying, hey, you can do this. And at that point, I kind of felt like, I'm pretty washed up. I'm a fading winner. I've had my day in the sun and it's not there anymore. So he did one thing. And I think one thing that's important as a leader is you have to realize that you may not be that person that might help get that person over the hump. You need to find that other person for him. So what Curtis did for me is he put a call into Brent Gove, a man that I deeply love and respect. And he said, Brent, Jeff's one of the best recruiters in all of EXP. He's like in the top 3. I was like, wow, I can't believe he said that to Brent. And then Brent literally reached down to me and he said, Jeff, you need to get a coach. I recommend Randy Bird. And I go, okay, well, if Brent says I need to do something, I'm going to do it. So I called up Randy and I was scared. I was afraid. I was still in scarcity. Obviously I'd have to make a commitment monetarily. And that was about a year ago. And I started to coach with Randy for a whole year and everything has changed. And I got the old Jeff back. So the fire in the belly is back and I'm excited to be here. I just wanted to tell you that story because there's always somebody out there that needs your help for you to see things in them that they don't even see in themselves. So some general principles of leadership. Do you really put the interests of the team in front of yourself? Do you really, really want that person that's in your organization to have more limelight than even you? Do you not just share concepts, but do you actually show them? I try to duplicate systems all the time, showing people how to onboard people correctly. I like to think of myself as a great tactician. I like to get in there and show people kinesthetically how to actually build their business. Create time. This is a huge deal. If you're a leader, you need to identify the leaders in your organization and create space for that and have authentic conversations with them because that's what they need. It's the same thing your kids need. They need your time, right? That's the number one thing you can give them is your time. So think about your leaders. When the last time you talked to them, I bet you have some great leaders in your organization. It could be weeks since you've talked to them, right? Create opportunities for them. Think about things that they don't even believe they can do. Give them things to live up to. Are you accessible? Are you accountable to them? Coaching goes up, coaching goes down. And you have to be okay with you getting coached by people in your organization and take it with a full heart and realize that, man, I don't have all the answers. I'm far from being right all the time. Help me. Lastly, have a warrior ethos. My son just graduated from officer training school this morning for the United States Air Force as an officer to be a medical officer. And they used, yes, thank you, Sierra. They used that word this morning, warrior ethos. I was like, man, that hit me. I want to have that all the time. I want to have that grit where I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up on people, and I'm not going to give up on who I am and who I claim to be. Because at the end of the day, you have to stand on something, right? You have to be able to die on a sword for what you believe, and you have to hold on to that. So some big ideas to lead leaders. Number one, you need to lead yourself. Number two, you need to be a great follower before you become a great leader. Number three, you have to be intentional. You have to observe people. You have to identify leaders. You have to see things that they may not see in front of them. You have to give things for them to live up to. And then you ultimately have to duplicate systems for success, because if you don't have systems that duplicate, then it's not going to grow, right? So leading yourself, committing to self-mastery, and I'm going to try to leave 5 minutes here for the end for questions. Commit to self-mastery first. You have to get real with yourself and interrogate reality. I always say to myself, based on results, I have to go get coaching from someone else because they're at another level based on results, right? And some people just have a hard time looking at results. And so I have to look at people like Randy Bird that have, 5 times the amount of people in his organization and go, wow, okay, yeah, there's a few things he could actually teach me. Morning rhythms. I know a lot of people here believe in them. It's like my cornerstone. That's how I get every day started. I've been doing Miracle Morning for the last 5 years. If you haven't read it, I would read it. I do silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. Why is this so important? Because this world is full of negativity and toxicity, and it's up to you to own your own brain. You have the power to own your own brain and reconnect the wiring, and sometimes that means a big change. And the only way you're going to do that is you need to immerse yourself in things like that that help you create a new self. Get in the right rooms with the right people, get a coach. We often talk about how important it is to have a coach, but do you have a coach? Right? I mean, 80% of success is accountability, right? And if you don't have a coach, somebody to go to, you're going to be a very lone person in this business, because this can be a very lonely business in real estate, but it doesn't have to be. Not if you have a coach. I have a lot of coaches around me. Randy Matthews, a coach to me. He helps me. I've got probably a coach in every area: spiritually, physically, emotionally, business, everything. Get serious about that.
Can I stop you for a minute, Jeff? I mean, you're throwing out a lot of great information here, and I want to reach back to something that you said that kind of ties into number 4, put yourself in the right rooms with the right people. And you said something about don't give up on people. What does that usually look like to you? Because it's not like, have you ever had someone come up to you and say, how many people they say, hey, I'm giving up on you? It doesn't usually look like that, right? I mean, what does it look like when we give up on our people?
Yeah, I think that happens gradually and then suddenly. The missing conversation is the worst conversation. In fact, the missing conversation is worse than the conversation gone bad. And what happens over time, it's like a marriage, right? Marriage is typically, it's not 100% one person's fault and 0% the other. People get divorced because they have years and years of non-intimacy. That's physical intimacy. It's even conversational intimacy, because the conversation is the relationship. Okay, guys? So what happens is gradually relationships decline, and then suddenly, and then people go to the suddenly and they go, well, what happened? Well, what happened is you just had decades of very little conversation that was meaningful. So the way that you never give up on people is you have those meaningful, intimate conversations with them where you can be brutally honest with them out of love. And you have to earn that right with people. So I don't give up on people unless they've completely given up on themselves. And even when they do that, I try to bring them back, because I think everybody's hit those down times, right? And now people need us more than ever. This is the greatest time to sell what we have, to share what we have, and pour into people. I hope that helps.
Yeah, perfect.
Be a great follower. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like this word. I actually do. It's called submit. I think that if you really want to grow as a leader, you need to submit to another person, and you have to just believe that they're going to take care of you and they have your best interests in mind. And quite honestly, I struggled with this, and this is exactly why I don't have a larger organization, because at the beginning, I wasn't really submitting to Curtis because he used to work for me, because, I know what I'm doing, and am I really going to take the advice of Curtis? Because he used to work for me, right? So I had some ego going on in the background, right? So subconsciously, I really wasn't submitting to his leadership. So he took me to another person. And then we had to have some really, really deep conversations about some of my programming, right? Because we have all these subconscious programs going on in the back of our heads that limit our success. And I had that going on. So I had to bury my ego and finally get to the point where I was in tears. And I was like, thank you. I'm ready. I want to be a student again, right? I'm not a know-it-all. That's not how I've been raised. But I need you to know I'm ready now. So be vulnerable. Be vulnerable about the people that you're submitting to and accountable to, and then also be vulnerable around the people you're leading. People want authenticity, right? They want to know that you're not perfect. You're just real. The law of the lid, we talk about that a lot. Your organization is not going to grow any faster than what you're willing to grow. You have to put it on the line, and you have to interrogate reality all the time on where you may not be doing so well. So in that, you have to invite other people into your life to be able to speak truth into you around that, okay? Ultimately, you own it. Okay, we live in a society where a lot of people don't want to take ownership anymore. We live in a victimhood society where most of the time it's everybody else's fault. I can tell you this, when you get to the point where you own things and you know that it's up to you to make the difference and make the change, it's liberating. It's freedom, because then you know you can actually do something about it. You're not reactive to the world. Every day you get to go, wow, I get to have another day. God gave me another day to change the world and help my people grow, right? And I forgot my identity. I was like, gosh, I'm a loser now. I'm not growing. I was tying my identity to my losses instead of remembering about my true identity, which I'm a child of God. I love people. I want to hug people every day. I want to close deals. I want to help people grow. These are some of my affirmations I do. I'll speak them for 5 minutes out in the universe, you know, and I've changed my mindset by having people around me that love me, by prayer, by reading, by accountability, by having real conversations. So be a great follower. Got about 10 more minutes. Hopefully this is helpful to everybody. Observe people's skills. Do they have good emotional IQ? You know, are they appropriate in the moment? Are they leaders? Can you help them? Observe them and then give them feedback. Are you whiteboarding your potential leaders in your organization? Are you working on your business at least an hour a week instead of in it? Are you taking the time to think and actually think about people in your organization and how you can pour into them and challenge them? Don't be afraid to go too deep. I've run big organizations in corporate America. I was a supply chain manager at Intel Corporation. I got my MBA there, and people always wondered how I was effective. Well, you know, it was very clinical there because they, you know, some people believe you shouldn't become friends with the people that report to you. I beg to differ. I believe you can become great friends with the people that are accountable to you, and you have to earn that right. You can separate the tough conversations with the friendship, and that's what a leader can do. Is a leader needs to know, we need to know from a leader that they know what our big why is. Why do we get up every day? So if you were to think about your people in your organization, do you really know what their big why is? Like, why are they doing this? Why are they getting up every day and busting their hump in real estate? You know, ask people, find out, learn about them. Be intentional about spending time with them, put it in your calendar and create a system. Think about all the key leaders you have in your organization and meet with them on a regular basis. So the big question on this slide is, who are you apprenticing? And do you have a servant heart? And do you know their heart, right? Are you strategic about your growth with people? Almost done. Give them things to live up to and be real. Challenge them with love. I often say this, Seth, I say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being a bald-faced liar and 10 being brutally honest, how honest would you like me to be? And some people say, give me a 10, Jeff. Yeah, are you sure? Are you sure? Okay, and see, but that sets the stage for a real conversation, right? I wish more people would do that for me so I could truly grow. We need potential leaders and we give them opportunities to lead, right? Because if we're just doing it all, we're not going to grow. We have to continue to look at people, give them opportunities. I talked about the missing conversation, right? I hope that that was a key nugget for you guys today, that the missing conversation is the worst conversation you can possibly have. As a leader, I'm looking for what's wrong actually in my organization every day. Now, that's not a bad thing, but I'm thinking about, okay, where's this problem? And then I'm attacking that problem, right? I'm not putting it off, because if I do, it's guaranteed to get worse. Do you feel what I'm saying? It's guaranteed to get worse. It's like relationships. If you put it off to the side, it will only get worse, right? Be impeccable with your word, keep your promises, don't take things personally, and always do your best. The 4 agreements, read that book. It's great. It's a great way to lead people. Understand their profile, and understand you have to talk to an S differently than you would talk to a D or an I. Understand human behavior. It'll help your sales career. It'll help your leadership experience. I've always believed with my children, not that I'm an expert in parenting, because I'm not, but I try to give about 90% positive feedback and about 10% not so positive, but do it with love. You need to balance it. You need to give people recognition. What's the saying? Recognition. Grown men die for it and babies cry for it. People love recognition, right? And then finally, duplicate systems. Are you teaching your team what works for you? Because if it doesn't duplicate, it's not going to work. And plus you're coming from a selfish standpoint, right? You're doing everything on your own, but you're not helping people grow their business, right? Ask them what their systems are. And then here's the big one. Here at EXP, I've never been a part of anything that's so just a depth of resources. I mean, unbelievable. So become a student of the model. I've watched the model explained at least 100 times, right? With people, right? I don't send that link out. I go to the leadership meetings every week. I am constantly tapping into what's happening, what's the cutting edge of the company, where are we going next? Become a student of the company, because ultimately you don't want everybody to depend on you, because then you're cheating them, because there's only one of you, right? I want them to depend on the full gamut of
Right.
systems in the company, right? So get to know our company. It's the greatest thing we've ever been given. It's a gift. Agent attraction systems, listing systems, buyer consultations, marketing reports, production reports, social media strategies. Find out what they're good at and lean into it. Andy Stanley, one of the greatest pastors ever in the country, wrote a book called The Next Generation Leader. He basically said this: lean into the 80% of the stuff that people are good at. Don't try to reinvent people. Help them basically take what they already have and basically exponentially grow that, right? That's what we need to find out. What are people great at? And then pour into it. So if it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't work. Finally, I'm excited to be here. It's a blessed day for me. I was thinking about this all week, and I'm always here for anybody. I hope this kind of helps a little bit. We got some good stuff coming up, and you'll see Coach Randy Bird, Andrea Beam, and myself have some things that are going to knock your socks off. And I'm truly excited for the future and this company and you guys. And thank you for letting me speak today, Seth.
Love it. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you being here. So, Jeff, if you could do me a favor and put your information in the chat for those of us who are not following you already, so we can follow you or reach out to you there. Meanwhile, I'm going to go back to some of the points that you made. One of the things that, and any questions, by the way, that anyone has, feel free to unmute and ask them or put them in the chat. One of the big things that I think you did a great job of highlighting in your slide here, and I know you were moving fast for us, I appreciate that. But one of the big takeaways that I'm hearing is leaders are coachable. Leaders are coachable. And sometimes we have this idea that leaders can't be wrong. Well, leaders are open to criticism. And another thing that you mentioned was know their why. And I think that's really a good insight, because we're always told to know our why. And it's rare that you hear someone saying, you got to find out about your people. You got to know about them. You have to learn about them. It's not a rigid equation. I mean, people are complicated. And so it does take a lot of work. But when you were talking about the children, this is my third point to tie it in. You said you want to do 90-10, right? 90% reinforcement. Yeah. Okay. And then 10% maybe constructive feedback. Isn't it true with kids that if they know that you're coming from a place of love, they know you care about them, they will be more receptive. And that's the same thing with our people.
Oh yeah, I mentioned to you guys I'm a bivocational pastor. So every Thursday I go work in a church, and it's an interesting ministry. I deal with a lot of the elderly, and I have to deal with people that are affirmed, afflicted, and people that are dying. And it's a very, very different world I live every Thursday. And because of that, I've learned a lot about family systems, and the way that people show up in life is a lot how their upbringing was. And I know many children in their adulthood that are really they think from a scarcity mindset. They're very negative on themselves, very hard on themselves, because either their mom or dad was always so critical of them. So family systems matter, and you can have generational impact with your children and their children by simply lifting your kids up most of the time. I'm not saying you have to, give everybody a trophy all the time. We're living in a society where everybody gets a trophy. No, that's not it. I'm saying when they do something great, positively reinforce that and say, man, that was a great
Sure.
job. Encourage them. That way, when you do give them harder feedback, it's more meaningful, right? It's
Right.
So.
Right. Right. So tying that in with our people in our organization, find out about them, right? That's what you're saying. Find out about, well, why are they doing what they're doing and how can we support that?
Yeah. And the only way you do that is time. You need to sit down and make it intentional, right? You have to be intentional about people. When you go out and take a listing, we're taught that we're supposed to understand the DISC of our clients, right? Well, why don't you understand the DISC of your organization, your people? You have to really ask questions and figure out what makes them tick. Whenever I bring somebody in, I've been starting a new practice, which I used to do. I have them do a DISC. That helps me a lot, to understand how they think. That way I can connect with them at that level, meet them where they're at.
Sure. Sure. We've got a couple more minutes here. I want to respect your time, Jeff. So there's a couple things that I want to touch on from the chat here. One of my big takeaways was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest would you like me to be? Okay, I love that you're really setting the stage to, help them come to a point of self-awareness. It's a self-discovery for them. And if they find themselves saying, well, give me a 3, well, that will tell them something. That's a great question.
You can
but
literally
there's
can change somebody's life with that. Okay. And what we're afraid to do is we have so many surface level conversations in our society. You have to have the courage to go there, and you can literally
Yes.
change the trajectory of someone's life.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And isn't it, just digging down on that point a little bit, isn't it often the case that people don't want to raise their hand and say, Jeff, I need help. Jeff, I don't know what to do. So when you open the door to be honest with them, inside they're jumping at that opportunity. They want somebody to be honest with them, because sometimes we have too much ego and we don't know how to say, I need help with this. Please help me. Oh, what a great conversation.
We struggle with asking for help. I tell people all the time,
Yes.
why don't you go on social media and tell everybody, hey, my coach gave me this huge goal and I really could use your help. Because most people actually want to be helpful. Most people will help you if you just ask. You have to be able to ask for it. How hard is it to go on social media and challenge all your friends and family to help you and ask for their help? One of the best things you can do to build your business is go meet with an influencer and say, can I pick your brain? I really see you as an inspiration. I would like to learn from you. I really could use your help.
Sure. And isn't it the case with you, Jeff, when someone comes to you and says, hey, I've admired you in the industry for decades. Can you please help me with this? What are you going to do? Shut them down? Turn them away? No, it's an honor that they come to you, right? Oh, what a great question. Can you please we got about 1 more minute, just touch on the gain versus the gap.
The gain versus the gap. Give me more context on that.
Okay, Sandy Jones, can you give more context on the gain versus the gap?
Yeah, be happy to. It's a great book out right now, and it really talks about what you focus on. If we're always focusing on achievement of like what this pie in the sky thing should be, then we tend to look at our failings. When we focus on the gain, which is to start from where we are and look back and say, here's what we are accomplishing, here's how we are making changes in our life, that stays into a more positive statement rather than the negative of, I wanted to get to 20 million, but I'm only at 9, and why am I failing? Why is that? So it's a great book. I highly recommend it to everyone.
Thank you.
I will read it. Yeah, every day I just try to win the day. I try to win the week, and I don't set goals more than about 90 days out.
Yeah, good. I love it. Well, I know that we asked you to cram, like I said, 20 years of information into a talk here. Jeff's information is in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to Jeff and follow him on social media as well. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you taking the time very much. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, great job, Jeff. Good to see you on here, bud. Knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
Thanks, Matt.
Very
Appreciate it.
good.
Hey, everybody on here, if you're still on, Jeff and I actually lead an agent attraction live calling session on Tuesdays from 9 until 10, sometimes 10:15, 10:30 if it's rich, right? And that's Zoom with Jeff.live. Zoom with Jeff.live. That's every Tuesday, 9 a.m. till 10 if you want to block out an hour and work on building some additional income streams to your household there. Love to have you. All right, make it a great Friday, everyone. Thanks, Seth, for
Very
leading
good.
it. It's
Thank
awesome,
you.
buddy.